welcome to this very exciting episode of the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. Let me start the show by quoting Jack Welch. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And that's exactly what we're going to touch upon with our very special guest today. So with me, Isha Bhalla, let's get this conversation started. The Economic Times Cutting Chai is a series brought to you by ET Edge, where we get to converse with CXOs, info entertain you, our viewers, while sipping our cutting chai. So it's time for you, our viewers, also to get your cup of tea, because this is going to be a very interesting conversation with our guest, Mr. Nikhil Garg, Senior Vice President and Head IT at DMI Finance Private Limited. He comes with an experience of over 19 years across techno-product management, IT architecture and strategy, along with solution and service delivery, IT governance, IT risk and security. So we have so much to learn from him. In his current role as leading IT for DMI Finance, a rapidly growing digital NBFC, he is responsible for all aspects of digital firm business, partner engagement to delivery, technical solution and architecture, new processes, product implementation, and so much more. So let me extend a very, very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Garg. Such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Isha. And really nice to be on the show. Thanks a lot.
As we get this show started, we'd love for our viewers to understand what your growing up years were like, what really set the basic foundation for you, and what really made sure that you are the leader that you are today.
Sure. So in my formative years, I was in Chandigarh, did my complete schooling and college from PEC Chandigarh. In the formative years, I think I had joined engineering or non-medical with the assumption that I was good in maths and nothing else. So probably that was the foundation years when I decided I want to be in technology. And that's how I think decided the path and have been continuing that from then onwards.
Wonderful. You did share a little bit about your study days, but if I was to ask you what your early career was like, what are those memories that have stayed with you till date? What has made you the fantastic leader and the person that you are today? Some of those anecdotes, if you can share with us, please.
Absolutely. So I remember a couple of instances, a couple of things which have helped me in growing and to be where I am today. So I believe every difficulty, every threat is a time for something new. Mm-hmm. So in my career once with SBI cards, there was a problem when we had a loss because of one implementation, which I was responsible for. There was a good amount of loss to the customers. And that set the tone for me that one has to be keeping in view of the feedback. So once the project is done, it's not done until every last bit of it is not completed. Mm-hmm. So that was the huge learning which I had from that kind of a thing. Then in my very early years, when I was working in Chandigarh with Infosys Technologies, there were multiple places where, or rather, I believe that at that moment, if I look back, I was really annoyed on those cases where I was every couple of months, I had to work on a different technology. So I was not really happy with that, wanted to concentrate on a single technology, single kind of a client, so that the things are easy. But now when I look at this moment in the hindsight, I think that has helped me a lot to understand the details of the technology, the depth of the technology, the breadth of the technology a lot. Mm-hmm. So those are the few things which has shaped me. The concentration on the business, solving the business problems, they have all come from working with different clients, different types of technologies, different domains. And those things have been really wonderful over the growing years.
Right. So really dealing with those challenging moments at that time has made sure that you've had this grand exposure. Thank you so very much for sharing that with us. We all have somebody or the other who influences us into turning the people that we are today. So if I was to ask you, who were those couple of people who were your role models or who mentored you and you took their guidance all through?
Sure. So I think there have been a couple of role models for me, starting with my father, who from whom I learned that the work or the responsibility or the task is the foremost important thing. So everything else comes secondary. The ownership or the responsibility is the first. Then in my early years or the next few years, couple of my managers, they shaped me really well. I learned working with the ambiguity, working or dealing with the nuances of the products, going into the details. Some of the managers taught me that you never had to say no. So those are the things, particularly a manager, whatever be the whatever be the situation, he just guided us that you have to go into the details, look for alternatives until the problem is solved. Nothing else is solved. Nothing else matters. So those things have stayed with me and has helped me to be whatever I have been able to.
You shared some fantastic examples of people who have guided you through. Some of those points have stayed with you till date. And I'm sure all our viewers listening in, watching the show right here, would also love a few pointers from you. So what is that message that you'd like to give to the youth of today? Or what is that message that you'd like to give to people who want to reach where you are?
First of all, I would like to say that I have not reached anywhere. So I think there is a lot of way to go. Youth nowadays is, when I talk to, let's say, some of the people in the family, read about the people, or even my own kids, the youth have grown or the kids have grown really much more than what we were at the same age. So that's one. But I think, and I personally believe, nothing or there is no shortcut for a hard work. So hard work, going into the details, putting in the best foot forward, dealing with the challenges is something which shapes the career or which shapes the individual. So every difficulty, every challenge gives you a lot to learn, gives you a lot to experience and experiment. So never be afraid of experimenting, never be afraid of taking on the challenge, and things will fall in place.
Right. If I was to ask you here, you did talk about what positive attributes one has to have to become a leader. But if I was to ask you, what are those traits that you feel can really derail a leader's career path? What are those pointers that one must really, really be beware of?
I think I would say it in a different way. I believe at any given point of time, one has to be positive and optimistic. I have learned it the hard way. Maybe a couple of things that you have to be optimistic, you have to be very positive, and you have to deal with people, particularly in technology. See, we are all in the business technology, the way I say. We are solving the problems for the business. And the person on the other end might not be equally technically capable as one individual on the technology side, but the other individual might be good in something else. So you have to look for the brighter spots on those people and try to make use of those things. And having us maybe having a good relationship, working relationship with your stakeholders always definitely help.
Right. You did talk about connecting with people, and that's what leads me to my next question. That teamwork is very, very important, especially when it comes to today. So, how is it that you encourage your team? How is it that you motivate them? And how is it that you make sure that they work together, grow themselves individually, and grow the organization as well?
So, couple of things. I believe that most of the things are only possible with the team. Individually, nobody can do anything.
Right.
So I believe if the team has a common purpose, a common motto, a common focus, then most of the things can be attained. I think I used to say that during the college days in engineering, that any engineer is one who can complete the complete syllabus for one subject in one night. And similarly, I believe if there is a dire consequences or dire situation, a team can close anything which might have taken probably a month if the team is motivated and working towards the same goal. So that can make a lot of difference.
Right. So working towards the same goal, and like you said, that teamwork is so very important. So here, if I was to ask you, we have so many young viewers watching the show who would love to be a part of your team. So give us a few tips there, or a secret mantra there, that if they were to get hired in your team, what is that one attribute that they definitely must have?
Zeal to learn.
Oh, fantastic. And I
So
think
I believe that somebody who is ready to learn, whether you know the technology or you know the things at the moment, but there is a positive mindset and you want to learn or you have a zeal to learn, anybody can learn anything.
so having that want and making sure that you work towards that want to learn, and that is what will get them a seat in your team. Perfect. Okay, so now, the last 24 months or so have been very, very difficult. A lot of organizations, a lot of teams, they've all been working from home and working distantly, not being able to sort of meet and connect. So how is it that you have made sure that your team feels that connect, that they don't miss out on that?
Sure. So I think I would thank the organization where we are working. So for us, let's say the work from home was not something new. Even before the lockdown started 2 years back, approximately almost 2 years now, we were in the work from home mode probably 2 weeks before that. We were anticipating it. Now, in the very early stages of the lockdown, we try to do a lot of activities for the teams. So we used to have, let's say first on the work side, we used to have common groups on the Flock or WhatsApp where we would discuss the projects, discuss the tasks, and try to solve those, and then continuously monitor some of those things. But on the softer side, there were a lot of workshops, a lot of online sessions, a lot of maybe online drinking sessions with the team, just to ensure that everybody is connected. And whenever there was a chance, whenever there was a, let's say the lockdown was not there or things were better or normal, we try to get people together, get into the same place and try to have more common connect with them.
Right. You mentioned how the last 2 years have been sort of difficult, but the organization has taken various steps to help the team feel that connect. But also at times in these last couple of years, one has felt that the lines between professional and personal lives have sort of blurred. So how is it that you, for yourself and your team members, how have you maintained that work-life balance?
You are absolutely correct. Some of these lines have diminished. I think it's both ways. Uh, we as an organization have been focusing more on the delivery and not on the timings. As an organization, we never were a 9 to 5 kind of an organization. We didn't have a concept of signing in, signing out, something on those lines. So it was easier. Uh, but apart from that, we have tried that if there is no work or there is a lack of work, we let people enjoy, let people have hair down. We try not to have the calls post, let's say, a stipulated time, which could be a 7 or 8 in the evening, not to bother people over the weekends. So those are some of the things which we have tried to do. But overall, I think people have been really cooperative. At the same time, uh, even if let's say these are the days when the kids results are getting out or the PTMs are happening, so we have been very flexible that people can go out, get those results, do their family course, and then manage some of those things.
Right. So really setting some ground rules and sticking by them. Okay, if I was to ask you in your personal time, what is it that you love doing and making sure that that is your personal space that no one can interfere in?
Okay, so I think because of the lockdown, that has changed a lot. So maybe 2 years back, I was more into reading and probably exploring more of the net or the technology. But I think over the last 2 years, it's more about the OTT platforms. So last 1 hour in the night or 45 minutes in the night, I love to spend some time just winding off and looking at some of the OTT series.
Okay, fantastic. In fact, now I want to get to the fun bit where I'm going to dive into a rapid fire, ask you a few
Mhm.
questions, and you have just a few seconds to give me the answer. So let's
Sure.
make this very exciting. And I promise you a fantastic chai hamper. Okay, so are you excited to win this one?
Absolutely.
Okay, so very quickly, do you happen to correct other people's grammar?
No.
Something that you mentioned you love doing. So let me ask, do you binge watch a complete series or stick to one episode at a time?
Binge watch at times.
Okay, do you have any tattoos or do you dream of having an impromptu tattoo?
No.
Okay, work or play for you?
Both work and play.
Will it be popcorn or candy?
Popcorn,
Money or happiness?
money,
Summer or winter?
winter,
Chandigarh or Delhi?
Chandigarh,
North Indian cuisine or Chinese?
North Indian.
Fantastic. And my final question to you, would you love a juice first thing in first thing in the morning, or will it be cutting chai?
Chai.
Well, same here. So I'm so very glad we're on the same page. And thank you so very much for joining us, Mr. Garg. It has been such a pleasure getting to know you. And I must say, your answers were so pacey that we'll have a chai hamper delivered to you very soon. So thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much for participating. And we absolutely love the zeal in life for you. So once again, as I thank you for joining us, it's been a pleasure. And I'd like to take a moment and thank all our viewers for watching.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Isha. That was really encouraging and really love the format.
Thank you so very much for being a part of our spectacular show right here, telling you more about what the IT industry can look forward to, the various challenges, the solutions, and all that and more. Our two experts, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Nikhil Garg, Senior Vice President and Head IT at DMI Finance Private Limited. Let me also present to you Mr. Vikram Mule, Director, Product Marketing, SMB, India and South Asia, Lenovo India. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking Mr. Nikhil Garg, what, as per you, sir, are the top IT challenges that you foresee in the next 1 or 2 years?
Sure. I think IT is evolving like anything. On the daily basis, there are too many new things which are coming up, multiple technologies which are coming around. So I believe the challenges is keeping up with those technologies, getting the right people, right resources to work on those technologies, and maybe solving the problems differently. So the way one has to continuously innovate, continuously experiment, and continuously learn. And to the new people or to the young generation, I would say those are the challenges. As long as you have the fire and the belly to learn, there is no new challenge.
How very well put by you there, sir. And let me ask Mr. Mule now that what do you think, sir, are the main challenges that organizations are today feeling when it comes to IT or when it comes to IT asset management life cycle? What do you think are those main points, especially when we see the trend in the next 2 years or so?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Ishan. Thanks for having me here. I think what Mr. Nikhil put is something which I could relate to, but obviously Lenovo is slightly in a smaller part of the domain. But I think the way he said about change being the only constant in a way, I think that's something which is interesting, and we also do see that as Lenovo. If I have to look at it from Lenovo's perspective, which is as an IT solution provider, I think one thing which is the big disruptor is obviously COVID. Well, COVID is now hopefully behind us, but I think the changes which it is doing to the work routine, the work from anywhere, which is now the talk of the town and sort of getting accepted, I think that would lead to challenges from IT infrastructure perspective. I think what we are seeing is higher adoption of mobile devices, both mobile phones, tabs, or laptops, and how do people work around that. That's one. The second is security becoming a bigger challenge. I mean, earlier a lot of organizations had desktops and within a confined space. Now that's changing. So how would CXOs worry about security and manageability of devices? That's the second thing which we're seeing. And the third thing not directly related to PCs as such, but is the conferencing requirements. That's something which we are also seeing. And what we're seeing is organizations who are probably adept at choosing the right infrastructure here can support this work from anywhere, where people have to be continuously online and also visible to each other rather than just being in an audio only mode. I think those are the three changes which we are seeing.
Right. So change being the only constant, and most of all, Lenovo India working their best and making sure that they provide solutions to bring about a change in these IT challenges that organizations are facing and will face in this hybrid world. Thank you so very much, Mr. Nikhil Garg. Thank you so very much, Ms. Vikram Mulay. It's been a pleasure having both of you right here on this show. And a big thank you to all our viewers for watching. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.